Hello folks and welcome back to the Behold Disc Golf YouTube channel. Today we have round 2 front 9 coverage of the 2025 Scottish Open. Let's get straight into it. So, Behall on the mic, here we are, Daniel Davidsson, Morten Brenna and Tuhkanen tied at the top, 3 under par, with Samuel Henderson also under par, 1 under, and then you're looking down at the leaderboard. But into our players, 10.29, Daniel Davidsson, definitely the favourite to take this one down. Chilling with Tuhkanen, one of the, as Elias says, the best sub 10.10 player in the world right now. And Morten Brenna, 10.12, very extravagant player, lovely backhand. Samuel Henderson, not the biggest thrower, but a very, very consistent guy and a great putter. He'll be looking to see if he can make all of his putts today, that's for sure. So some solid ratings, some may say easy ratings. But we're getting into hole 1, 280 feet, slightly uphill. They've extended this one so it's right on the back of the water. Potential to get distracted, but you really want to throw righty backhand and flip something up straight down the middle of the trees. Often you can hit the trees if you're slightly off, but you need to navigate your way around to this uphill green, and hopefully you can stick it close because you don't want to be getting a roll away. And a nice shot back there, but Daniel's going with a forehand flip up, quite a technical forehand. Classic first miss of the day from me, but he puts this one into the circle, makes the adjustment after round 1 where he hit the trees on the left. Very nice height for Morten there, really trusting it. It almost looks like it's about to go in. Absolute park job on the first hole. Very ideal to get the round going. Ideal, just like his trousers and Nestory's shirt. Big fan of Nestory's shirt here. A nice, gentle hyzer flip. Not sure Nestory throws gentle, but the turn was gentle, and that one is also going to be parked. An ideal way to start the day. And a nice lefty backhand gap hit from Samuel. Sponsored by Latitude 64. I only just saw that now that I'm looking at his shirt. But he's got a putt from edge of the circle. This one can be nervy. A strong bid. He can often be disappointed, and for good reason. That was on line. At least to hit the band though. Don't really want to be missing low on a basket like this, but it's not the birdie. This hole is coming in as one of the 3 easiest on the course. I don't know which one it will be today, but it's, along with 17 and 18, a lot of people getting the birdies, and I know that people played it well in round 2. And this is the mistake you really don't want to make from Daniel. Look at this, it's rolling down into C2. Very much not ideal. But bang, 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 par there from Daniel. What a save. That is a lovely putt up the hill. And he really makes good on that adjustment. And then there we go, birdie for Morten. Par for Samuel. And then another birdie for Nestory. Nestory, I believe, also sponsored by Latitude 64. And I may shoot myself if I see on the next tee that it's not sponsored by Latitude 64, but I believe him and Samuel are sponsored by the same manufacturer. So now we've got a tight tunnel on the hole 2, 430 some feet, and you've really got to play a hyzer flip, or I like a slight flex, but you have to push very far, and if you miss your angle slightly right, there's OB all along the right hand side, so it's very dangerous. And if you miss slightly early left and you hit the inside of the tree, you can also kick into OB and danger if you kick far left. So this one, you have to be pretty careful. It's one of the ones that you're not mad if you're reaching edge of circle on this hole. This one can do some big damage. That looks good from Morton. Plays it nicely, not much movement on the disc at all. And there we go, Nesteri sponsored by Latitude 64, giving the Team Heatland player the fist bump. Heatland coming from Sweden, monopolizing Sweden at the moment. Pretty cool brand. Support their pros towels, they just came out as I'm creating this video, but Nesteri too much hyzer, kicks to the right, and it looks like that one's headed OB. Not the ideal start for the second hole. That one's quite early into OB. There we go. A nice committed angle, but you can see the disc is just a little bit too flippy, but it kicks left. And Daniel got a double bogey in round one, so he's pretty happy, to be honest, if he's going to take 2 strokes better on this hole. Forgive my water drinking, but Samuel's blue shirt made me think of it. And blue disc, what a combo. And throws the forehand pretty nice and flat release, but just a little bit right. It had a decent angle on it though, especially because I know that this is quite a tough hole to get the distance for a lefty side arm. He had some debate on the 2 meter rule in round 1, in which Callum informed me that he was correct, but Nesteri has thrown a nice approach there. That's quite good from this position. But yes, they had some queries because Daniel wanted 2 meters, and apparently it's only 1 meter, but I believe it wasn't very clear on the rulings, so either one was arguable, that's for sure. And slightly underturning this approach from Samuel. Quite a technical approach here, not ideal. He's got a long putt left for par, which is not the end of the world on this hole, but if you're walking away with a par, you're generally pretty happy. Ooh, and he thought he might have had it there. Very good bid from deep C2. Daniel now with a birdie putt. This one did not come out cleanly. You can see the frustration there. This one is really a putt you want to capitalize on. And Nesteri there with a good make for par. Very, very strong putting stroke. Love his mechanics. Morton has some very technical mechanics on his putting stroke. He gets a lot of, like almost more than anyone I've ever seen, wrist action. He's got quite a slingy putt, and he generally seems to get the direction of it pretty good. I generally saw him miss only really high or low. And so we've got an uphill shot here, hole number 3. This one, you've got to have at least 500 feet of distance to reach the hole. You throw it on a hyzer and flip up a driver if you want to get down to this little gap here and hope that you fade towards the pin. Most of the players are going to throw a generic hyzer and finish around 90 feet left early, and that, believe me, you can throw a full shot and still end up way outside C2 here. This one could definitely give players a par 4 in some worlds. It requires a really technical shot, because you also have to get the height right, get a disc to flip up on a hyzer. So we'll see. And Morton gets a lovely line, but the thing is, you want it to flip up a little bit more than that, because if it's that left side, it can bring into play some of the trees. Daniel a little bit low, but gets a forward pushing skip, and he'll be okay from there. It's not hit early, and so there's often quite a decent opportunity to save the par on this hole. Another hole, as you'll see in this early stretch, 1 to 6, 2 to 6, where par is really not a bad score. If you come out in par, you're probably shooting 10-20, 10-30, which is pretty good. Nesteri there It's okay throwing a hyzer out there. You want to be slightly... I mean, to throw a generic hyzer, that is the line. So I'll give that to him. Saving par, but not a chance of a birdie. And Samuel a little bit early on this shot. You can't really reach either way, but you don't want to be hitting this tree on the right-hand side. So you can see what he's left with. Bluebell woods, the woods can be tough. And so you're forced to throw shots like this, a flick roller, and this is looking pretty spicy. Quite like the look of this one. And it looks to be around 40 feet left to the pin. Morton with a little forehand, and he doesn't quite get over on it, but it's inside the circle. Quite unfortunate to be behind that tree, but I guess he favours the forehand. Daniel there with the approach. Now I thought he'd fluff this one, but it's completely fine. It's only a few meters away. You can see where Nestri's hyzers has ended up. Thankfully has a big jump putt. Not even a jump. Nice. Scooches up to the pin. Some debate. Who's going first? Samuel's in slightly just in C2 here. By the shot. And boom, cashes in. A nice C2 putt for par there. He'll take that for sure. Back to still at even par for the tournament. You can see an enthusiastic spectator there filming. Fergus in the background deep. Someone resting on a car. Big crowd. And Morton leaves this one a bit high. You can see his frustration. Very much not happy there. Really, really wanted that one. I definitely rate his enthusiasm for the game. Daniel there, cool, calm and collected. Gets the par. So 3 pars to start for Daniel. And Nestory even par. Morton with the only bogey of the card. Pretty good for the card, considering that would usually play as a par 4, but who knows. So you want to play this one 4-12 par 3 on the right hand side and follow along the road, and you have to flip up another really technical flip up hyzer shot, push along the road. This one is incredible if you get it right, but it's so difficult to actually get the shot right. If you want to play down the left side, you really have to get lucky. But you can play there on the right side and even end up at maybe 60 feet short with a hyzer if it's done to perfection. But you need to get the perfect flip up and ride. And you can see back towards the hole there, the blue basket and the gold, much, much different. So Daniel, this one is looking nice, but it just overturns. If he goes slightly left, keeps on a hyzer for a bit longer, he's going to be absolutely loving it. Nestry bit right on this one and hits a tree. Both of these shots though look like they were on pretty good angles, not too far off. You can see it's quite tight. And Samuel with a lovely hyzer flip. This is all he can really do on this hole, but look at the way that thing followed the fairway. I assume it was some type of leopard. I have no idea, or leopard equivalent. Really nice shot. Morton quite deliberate with the practice, and there we go, it's up, but again it's quite hard to turn this one correct amount, but he's pushed through there, so a little bit right, but he'll have a long putt I believe to get a birdie. And you can see Nestry potentially favouring the forehand approach here. It could just be a backhand hyzer. And he is going for the backhand hyzer. Executed very well. Look at that skip off the road. Perfect. I know that he likes his forehands as, if it's not a full par backhand, I know that he used to be slightly less good at them than the forehand approach, but you can see he's definitely must have worked on it or something. And talking of a good forehand approach, Daniel has one of the best in the game, but I wouldn't be surprised if Samuel favoured the backhand approach. There you have Mr. Tuhkanen there, chase card check-in with the Wayo apparel on. looking smart. So we have Morton from range for the birdie. A little bit shy there, but it was a very long bid. And stays by the basket, so it should be an easy par. Let's see if they can clean up for the par. There's one. So it's looking like a very likely par frame here from the card. And as I said, after hole 1, hole 2 to 6 is pretty much the death stretch on the whole course. And then following that, 9 to 15 are very difficult as well, most of them. So Mr. Smithson here, this is I believe, third card check-in. Looking perfect, but you can see hole 7 up ahead can have that reaction quite often. There's a big tree in the fairway. But now hole 5, this one is 400 and I believe 6 feet, but I think it plays a little bit longer. You have to get through this very, very tight woods. I saw barely anybody make it through the initial gap on this hole today. Navigate over the tree and start fading towards the basket, unless you're doing some technical lefty hyzer flip. But this one slopes away after the tree. It goes downhill, so a bit of a technical green. It used to be raised, as you can see in the drone footage there, but it's not. You can see why this place gets the name Bluebell Woods. It looks lovely. But par 3 for people sometimes, but I believe par 4 today. So not the hardest par 4, however it does have a lot of stroke separation if you're off the fairway. And that kicks right, however right is nowhere near as bad as left. Left strokes downhill and it can be super dangerous. So 2 drives not on the fairway there. This one's a bit early from Samuel. You can see he's a little bit disappointed. Well, probably very disappointed there. Let's see if Morton can hit the gap. First one of the card, last chance. It's looking good, a little bit of a stable disc. And he should be pretty happy with that one. There we go, Fergus and one of Callum's caddy for round 1. Very nice guy. So we have Samuel on the right hand side of the hole onto the other fairway. Throws the anhyzer, kicks backwards and rolls back onto the hole 4 fairway. Luckily there's no one playing the course, and I believe that was Daniel, and hits a tree. And Nestry throws the forehand. You can see I wasn't in the best position here. That one fades out a little bit right, but that's a pretty good shot from there. And then, oh, it must have been Morton. So here's Daniel for a forehand approach, clips a tree, but he's got a birdie putt. And so Samuel now really needs to get up and down for the par. And he does so. Just look at this fallen tree, and Morton a little bit short with the putt. But what a feature on the hole. Can be a very entertaining, but very annoying if you hit the tree. There we go, nice birdie from Daniel. Very good uphill putt. And now we have Mr. Nestry Tuhkanen for the birdie. Not too far away, only a little bit right. Makes good. And same, pure in the heart from Morton. And I believe I must have missed a shot from Samuel as he takes the bogey. But now onto hole 6. This is a 2-shot par 4. AB could not reach this hole, even though the feet makes it look like you can. You need to throw a slight flex, or they were playing a lot of hyzer flips up into this very small landing zone. You can see these trees are not far apart. They're maybe 12 feet, and you want to get down to here. And a forehand anhyzer, some type of putter shot will actually do, but you'll still need to get through this. A lot of people are going to try and get to here at the base of the screen now into and then chip up for the par. You can see that it's just a tight gap the whole way. Look, you have to fit it perfectly, and then you may have a hyzer flip up approach uphill into the green, but you just need to get as much distance. Obi on the right hand side, Daniel a little bit right on the shot, but just pushes, and that is so creamed. And I believe he said something about being lucky, because he was a little bit lucky. I think he missed his shot to the right hand side, but no issues there. Too much hyzer for Nestri, but that is not a bad spot to be after that shot. Morton also sponsored by Idio Sports Footwear. I believe they're a footwear brand. Forgive me if they're not. I can't make out the bottom thing on his shirt, but he's got lots of sponsors. I believe mainly Team Heatland. And a nice looking backhand there. Kicks to the right. Okay. Not ideal, but he may have something. Some sort of a look. Samuel with a flex forehand. What a nice play. And actually hits it. And it's almost on the fairway, but you really can't complain with a shot like that. And so Morton playing, I believe, the smart play, just looking to punch a little putter up here, smarter than myself, and just going to try and get into the fairway so he can get his par, but tries to do a little bit too much, I guess, to get into the nice landing zone, and hits the tree, and so he's still going to be left with a little bit of trickery. You can see the basket up there through the trees in the V. Nestri has to throw a little flex and gets kind of chopped down by the tree, but it's not too bad of an approach there. And if you really want to access the green, you kind of got to get lucky and blast something, which is dangerous. And Morton too much hyzer here, stays on the right hand side, but that is not ideal. But this hole, probably one of the 3 hardest holes on the course. Always plays difficult, super hard to get the birdie. Samuel there, you can see with the ideal, which is what I talked about in the shot, throwing a forehand flex. Well, I guess he was left-handed backhand, so different to what I said, but he's gone forehand, played the gap perfectly, and he's still got another slightly outside of comfortable putting range to get up and down. But a par in this hole is arguably very good. And Morton with the flex leaves it slightly too far left, not enough turn, and his kick's right, very much punished on that shot. So he's throwing a decent amount of shots on this hole. Daniel, quite a nice forehand approach, leaves him very, very close. So no complaints there from Daniel. Not the worst par. And you can see this is a Q series, so these baskets are permanent, so no moving of the baskets and removing of the baskets after FPO have played. Nestri throwing a nice backhand approach there. Some type of huck club disc. Hitting his backhand approaches currently. Samuel with a little flex putter up there, should be completely fine. But different story from Morton on this hole. He's really found hole 6's teeth, and he's got this putt for, I believe, a single bogey. Morton currently leading, I think, and that is slightly low. So Samuel Henderson gets his putt in for the par. Nestri also for the par. And I think if Nestri finds some good rhythm on his shots in the future, it'll be, we always talk about it, me and Charlie O'Brien, cameraman now for MDG, I always talk about how he is one of the most enjoyable players to watch, has one of the the most exciting games. His putting can go in from anywhere. So now we have hole 7 downhill, island hole. You want to get past this path on the left-hand side and forwards. Otherwise, you're OB and we'll proceed to the island. You want to throw a flex forehand on the left side and just drop in on the left-hand side of the screen, fading right towards the basket. You can see the stakes here. And not too much wind on this hole as it is in the woodlands, but you can see not much of a gap. You just want to play the right hand side and flex into the left gap like Daniel's doing there, but with slightly less turn. And he kicks off a tree and kicks forward and right. So there we go. Lucky discs, lucky man, as usual. This looks to be a slower disc from Nestory. It kind of rolls it over and a little bit left side. Stays left side. Not ideal. Cool, calm putter shot from Sam. But he leaves it on the left hand side, and so he's got a C2 look. Wanted to get a little bit of fade, but to be honest, hitting the gap is not the worst thing in the world. So we can get a heat check on Morton's forehand here. Very nice backhand mechanics. The solid looking forehand here. Also playing more height. But the problem with the large amount of height is that it's potentially going to kick OB. And so this is pretty much certain bogey. Even if you're Ricky Wysocki, there's OB that slopes kind of down behind the basket. So you probably want to lay this putt up, as Morton is doing there. So long bid, and there's some wind coming from the woods and tickles the chains, but no bueno for Nestory. He'll be taking a par. This is one of the easier holes in the course, slightly harder than the easy stretch, but bang, big putt from Samuel Henderson there. Very, very nice. Just like hole 2, but this time it stays in the basket. You can see man with big stick in the background. Loving life, walking through the woods. Missing that Daniel Davidsson birdie. That is going to be a 1-2-3 turkey. So he started to heat up a little bit there. You can see the swirly birdie graphic, and Morton just tapping in. Nestory blasting the putt home. So hole 8, 650 feet. This one, I keep saying about it, I guess there's a few easier holes on this course than I remember. Hole 8 is open, 650 feet. OB along the right hand side, left side, kind of a bottleneck. Gets a little bit tighter, but not enough tightness to really scare the best players. It's more wind here because it's an open hole, but you want to play left side. You can even throw a hyzer off the tee and then swing another hyzer into the basket here. You can see it looks nice and very nice. We had some good weather for these first 2 rounds. Uncommon in Scotland, I have to say, but you can see Daniel there throwing the backhand, and it kind of pushes flat and then fades, but it's hard to go OB here, because even if you turn it too much on that shot, you're in bounds, and if you fade too much, you're short with the OB. So it's quite generous. Samuel here throwing, asking it to go right, and it does jump up and go right. So I guess he's got a little bit of string attached to his disc. That is some cheating going on there. And now Nestory forehand. Look at this one rise into the heavens. Very nice. Fades into the fairway. Good shot there from Nestory. And Morton checking the wind. So you can see there's a little bit of a headwind. It's quite a big ballsy shot for Nestory to go forehand. Not many players are going to choose to go forehand on this hole, but he's got the distance. The hyzer release from Morton. That one stands up and fades, and he's going to be ideal. Good shot there from Morton. And in this headwind, it's playing a little bit longer for Sam. He's not got quite as much distance as the rest, so he's really got to kind of flex 2 drivers if he wants to get there. It's got quite upright form, and this one has some crazy flippage to it, and it's a little bit short, but that one looked like it was going to head OB right and just kept rising and flipping. You can see Daniel probably going with a splice, definitely going with a splice, along the right hand side. Just wind isn't even a factor for him, and he's put that one to mid C1, so a very high percentage make there. Now Nestori clearly leaning on the forehand, forehand, flips it up slightly, the high highs. This one's looking really good. Oh, almost going in, very, very close, flashing the change. That would have been a highlight reel shot. And Morton, disc on a hyzer, but not enough, and slightly wind pushing it, keeping it down, not letting it fade, and then exaggerating the already missed right shot, and that's going to be OB. And you really don't want to be OB on this hole. Morton had the lead, and now you can see it's dropping a little bit away. Two unfortunate holes. They're actually 3 in a row unfortunate holes, so he's really dropped down there. Still some time in the tournament, almost reaching the halfway point. There we go, long bid from Samuel, but you can see Mr. Daniel Davidsson, birdie -7, another birdie to the tally. It's 4 in a row. Necessary. You really expect the top players to be getting this one, as they are doing. You can see, enjoying the sun, getting the tan in. Rare sight in Scotland. And hole 9, par 3, 399 feet, but do not let this one fool you. This is uphill as hell. You need 500 feet plus minimum power, and that's saying best shot required to get the birdie. You need to flip something uphill, but there's barely any gaps. You've got to push it on the left side and late flip it, otherwise you could be in the trees early right. You want to get through these trees, so that is quite dangerous. You have to kind of get lucky and reach the basket here. You can kind of see, looking down, it's on a flatter area, but Daniel's throwing uphill and flips this one up very nicely. Got to go with something flippier than you think here. And boom, that one is C2. Best drive that you will see from the top 0.00001% of disc golfers that play. Not many people in the world have even the power to throw that shot. Nestori, another player that has a lot of power, but this one turns over a little bit, kicks the tree. Not ideal. So we're going with the flex forehand, clearly leaning on the flex forehand on some of these holes. That one's a really nice shot from there. Here we're left with something that's not too tricky, but there's a lot of late trees, so you can really get caught up on this hole, and it can get pretty dangerous pretty quickly, especially if you're on the right side. You have to get very finicky, and if you're outside of jump putt range, you're often left with no more than 5 feet of gap. So Morton here, nice higher shot. I can see Morton likes the higher shots. Little shot, and then boom, kicks late right onto the tree, which is not ideal. He would have been maybe edge of putting range, but now he's got a little forehand up shot. You can see Nestori having to put a lot of power in this one. Throws the hyzer out there, and that's a very good shot from there. It's really hard to do a lot with that shot. And so even Samuel, look at this gap that you have to hit. There's not much of a gap, but he's quite good. He's quite technical with the putter, and often seems to hit the gaps, make his putts. So I can see why he's got a decent rating. There's a cool disc from Morton. Look at how tight he's got to put that. Not much to go with there, but Daniel for probably the first birdie of the tournament so far in this hole. Let's see. And cash, 5 in a row to finish the front 9. Daniel Davidsson is 8 under par, extending the lead against his fellow players. This is a course where it's quite hard to shoot many birdies in a row, and he's done just that. Very, very impressive stuff. Nice putt there from Samuel. So 1 over for the 9, even par for the tournament. We're dropping down a little bit, but Nestori 2 under for the round, -5. Here we have Morton. Started off well, was in the lead. Pad almost comes back at him, but you can see he's 2 over par for the 9 now. You got Pekka Huvinen sneaking on there, T. Vetney, Nikolai, and then Callum Taylor really turning the ship around compared to round 1. It's very impressive to go 1 under. You can see some of the UK's best struggling a little bit. But that was all for the front 9. Hope to see you in the back 9. Thank you very much.